thank you guys. Let me know you're here and say hello. Thank you so much for joining us, even at this later time. We're so excited to be with you. This month, we're focusing on brands and what it looks like to work with a brand, what brands are looking for when it comes to influencers and working with influencers. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. You're so funny. And so Kristi Francisco works with USAA. They're an excellent partner when it comes to FinCon. If you saw last year, they had at FinCon 2018, they had a podcasting booth there from FinCon Central. It was awesome. And they're doing some really awesome things in this space. And so I was so excited to talk to Kristi Francisco from the USAA team to talk about how they're working with influencers, what kind of content that they're putting out. And I'm not sure if with the time difference of our technical difficulties today, Kristi was going to hop on or someone from USAA will hop on. So if you have questions when it comes to working with a brand, when it comes to those, please drop them in the comments and we can discuss them when we're done with this interview. So again, I know I hate it when that happens too. You guys are the best. All right, so let's go ahead and get this interview started. If you have questions, again, leave them in the comments below, and we'll go ahead. Here we go. Hey everyone, this is Bethany Bayless, and I am here with Kristi Francisco. Who can you remind me of your job title again?
I am Senior Communications Manager
for USAA. You may have heard of them. They're pretty cool. And today we're going to be talking about what it looks like for brands to work with influencers as well as the content that brands are putting out specifically. So you work with a lot of people putting out content for USA, but I want to focus really quickly on the influencer part of that. So you work with a lot of influencers in this space, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah. And why does USAA do that? Why do they choose to work with influencers in order to get out their messaging, or what is that?
So it's for a couple of reasons. First of all, financial services is not always the easiest thing to talk about, to put into human language where people feel comfortable. So we like using other people to help tell our story. They can make it a little bit more human, a little bit more understandable than just putting straight words out on a text on a website.
Yeah. And what kind of influence do you find yourself working with mostly?
So we've got a number of them that we work with, from military lifestyle bloggers, finance bloggers, military finance bloggers, very niche group, but very important to our membership.
I know all 5 of them.
Yes, but and we work with all 5 of them.
Yes.
But we do that, but then we also have larger influencers that just want to do stuff with us to honor the military membership and veterans. So we'll work with some larger celebrity influencers on doing stuff for Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Army Navy game, things like that.
Can you give us an example of maybe one of the campaigns that you've run where you've used influencers, and then what that means for your company, for your goals that you set out to do in the first place, etc.?
Okay. Large or small campaign?
Take your pick, whichever one.
Or both.
Or one that surprised you.
So one that surprised me for Veterans Day, we did a campaign this year where actually, you did it. You did part of it. We made it, our whole goal was to have Veterans Day be a little bit more social, as a way for people to be able to thank veterans for their service without walking up to them and saying thank you for your service, which can be kind of an awkward exchange sometimes. So what we did was we had people actually physically draw a V on their hand and take pictures and post it on social with a hashtag and spread the word that way. So to get that to go viral, we worked with some higher name influencers, and we worked with AJ Buckley from the SEAL Team show on CBS and had him do that. And it made sense from what his show is about and who follows him. And we were very surprised with, he called out some of his castmates to do it. And he has, I think I said 66,000 followers on his Instagram page. So he has more because he did it on more channels. But he posted that on there and called out people. Out of his one post, we could trace 21 celebrities that posted, and we had, not from him, but from the rest of the group, we had over or almost 3 million impressions of people that saw that from the rest of that group. So it spread like wildfire, which is what we want to do. So we were we knew it would spread. We just didn't know how quickly it would spread.
Right. Yeah.
And how successful. So
Yeah.
for our goals, that was what we were doing. We weren't trying to sell a product. We weren't trying to get new members, but we definitely got people to see that and to spread the word about putting the V on hands for veterans.
Yeah, it was a really cool campaign too, because it was a way for people like me who have family who served in the military. It's a way for people like me to share, my story and why it connects to me.
Right.
And I enjoyed that campaign. What is something that, let's say someone in the FinCon community would like to work with a company one day through influencers partnering with a brand, what is something that they should keep in mind from the influencer perspective when it comes to working with a brand like USAA?
Okay. Number one, don't think that you can just contact us and start working for us right away. It does take a while.
Yeah.
But we also, we're not always ready to do a campaign. And so we have to find the right fit. I always say the right person for the right time for the right campaign.
Yeah.
So we also like to really get to know our influencers. So we don't like doing one-offs where we just work with, like, I want this one person to do this one campaign and we'll never have a relationship with them again.
Yeah.
So we may be different from some other brands, but like we want to know about you. So don't just send us, hey, I want to work with you. Tell us what you can do. Give us some examples of what you can do. We do like knowing kind of price range. Like, are you going to cost $100? Are you going to cost $1 million? Like, we need to know that ahead of time. And don't be shy about what your following is. If you think that you have too small of a following, that doesn't always matter. And we do a lot of micro influencer campaigns because of who the audience is and how engaged the audience is. So if you have a very engaged audience, you're important to us.
Yeah.
So don't just go, oh, I don't have enough to work for USAA.
Well, and
do.
That's a great point, because some people might think in order to get a sponsor or in order to have a relationship with a brand, they need to have fill in the blank. Like they need to have 5,000 followers, or, like even that threshold, 5,000 downloads to their podcast, or 5,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that. But what would be your advice to someone who has a smaller following? What can they be doing right now? One, to connect with brands, and two, when it comes to their social presence, when it comes to the way they conduct themselves online, what should they always keep in the back of their mind when it comes to that?
How they conduct themselves online.
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
Ton.
So probably not a shock to anyone. USAA is very protective of our brand and our reputation. It is our bread and butter. I mean, and we don't want anything to happen where one person going out on Facebook and doing something bad could, bring us down. Hopefully we have built enough of a goodness of our reputation, if you want to say.
I think so.
Yeah, that won't happen, but we are extremely careful with who we work with, that we go and we do look at everything that is posted. We will search and read, look at posts that you have made, how many curse words you have. You're fine.
Oh, am I good? Am I okay?
How many curse words you have, but we'll also look at how you react to things of current events going on. So if you are very politically active, that's fine. It's just how you actually are talking when you're being politically active.
Okay.
In this day and age, it's impossible for you not to have, I think, a stance on something political. Fabulous.
So we're allowed to have opinions.
Yes, please have it. So I know it's like it's not what you're saying, or it's not that you have an opinion, it's how you express it. So if it's extremely sensationalist and is just going off the deep end, we won't work with you because that will be used against us. And we've got, we have real stats somewhere, but I would say almost 50-50 of Republican, Democrat, pro-life, not. So, I mean, those things that will happen, I mean, we know everybody has opinions. We don't mind that. It's if you start expressing them in a sensationalist or discriminatory way.
With cuss words.
With lots of cuss words.
With lots of them.
Well, and you know this, USAA is military members. Yeah. So, like, they're going to curse. I'm married to a sailor. I do like to throw an occasional cuss word every once in a while, but occasional is fine. And there are people, I will say that's for working with USAA. There is one influencer that I would love to work with. I won't tell you who it is.
Okay.
But I would love to work with him. He has a fabulous brand. He has a fabulous story, but he starts every post with the F word. And somebody asked me, they're like, well, why don't you ask him not to say that if you want? I'm like, no, that's his brand.
That's
like, I don't have
yeah.
anything against him personally for doing that. And that's his brand. And if that's your brand, that's fine. You just have to know who's going to work with you. And if you have people that you're like, I really want to work with this company, they're okay with the fact that I do this, then more power to you.
Yeah.
That's just not us in certain circumstances. So yeah, I love seeing stuff that he does, and I personally like following him. It's just, it's not a USAA match.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too, because working with influencers, there's part your messaging, right? And then it's part casual, organic ways. So do you, when you work with a sponsor, do you ever write a script for them, or do you, what's that balance between?
It is a tricky balance sometimes.
I'm sure it is, because some people are like, well, I want to work with a sponsor, but I want to still be me and be able to be on board with whoever they are.
Yeah. And for us, we're all about, it should be you. It should be you. It should be our message, but it should be your interpretation of our message. So what we do is we have a campaign brief, a document that we put together that say, here's what the campaign is. So we did a Live Your Dreams life insurance campaign last year. And we wanted people to tell the story about how they're living their dreams and how life insurance, having it, is helping them set people up, the rest of their family, so that if something were to happen to them, that they could continue to live their dreams. And I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, life insurance, not always the most interesting or but it's not always the easiest thing to talk about because it involves someone dying.
Right.
So it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
So our whole campaign on that was, we just want you to tell your story. Now, we would have some celebrities that would talk about that very high level, but then we did also have some financial bloggers that were talking about the specifics of, here's what you should look for. But it wasn't what we were telling them. We want you to talk about these things about, USAA life insurance provides X, Y, and Z. No, it's what does life insurance provide in general? So on that campaign brief, it was what the campaign was about, key messages that we really wanted touched on. We gave them some examples of things. And then the call to action, which was to go to a certain site. And then we stepped back. Now, because it's being sponsored by us and because there's FTC guidance and disclosures that need to be on there, we do look at it first before it goes live. We always say, give us a week. Usually takes me about 20 seconds, depending how long it is. But to look at it and just say, yeah, you're good. But we're not looking to change how you're writing. We're looking to just make sure that those facts were correct and that you followed what we asked you to do.
Yeah. And working with influencers is something that I love seeing companies do. I love seeing brands do it because, like you said, it puts a human face to them. It puts perspective on it that you wouldn't necessarily get from maybe watching a commercial or something like that. Let's shift just briefly to the content that USAA puts out as a brand.
Okay.
What is some of the things that you guys are doing in order to reach new people or to help the existing membership that you have?
What haven't we done?
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of a really big question.
Yeah, we have a lot of people working on stuff, but we have such easy things such as infographics that we will put on. We'll put it in Twitter posts for them, for people to download, or put it on blog. We have a community site that anyone can go and look at on USAA. I believe it's usa.com/community, that anyone can go and get information from them. So we'll have people write articles in there, do advice on there, have the infographics. And it could be stuff on infographic on tax time and what you should remember when you're doing that, especially from a military member perspective, because it's very specific, versus it's the 4th of July. Here's some tidbits that you may not have known about this holiday.
Yeah.
So we'll have stuff like that. To find a different audience and to reach out, we did a thing called Service and Ink on our YouTube channel, which was different. It wasn't pitching any sort of product. It was more just infotainment. Actually, infotainment is not even the right word because it's more entertainment. It was pure entertainment. And it was showing the connection that the military members have with tattoos. And there's a strong history behind that. We wanted to tell that story. We didn't want to necessarily tell the story and say, and so you should go buy, USAA auto insurance, we just wanted to tell the story and have the connection. So we set up some military veterans with tattoo artists. A lot of the tattoo artists were veterans themselves, so they could have that story. And it was just giving them a chance to tell their story as they were getting the tattoos. They were very interesting, very touching. Never talked about a product at all, but it was a way for us to get into a different audience, watching videos, a younger audience, a younger millennial, even Z. Just another way for them to get exposed to USAA.
And it's so interesting too, because it, like you said, like it didn't talk about your brand. Like you put out content that didn't talk about your brand. And people might say, like, well, that's kind of, you know, crazy. But I mean, it did have a connection to it. How did you connect people then to your brand from that?
So depending on like different episodes, so we did one for Army Navy games. So we ran that and would always have links to it from Twitter or from Facebook. And it was, if it was timely during that time. We also then worked with the people who actually got the tattoos for them to promote it. Kristi Ennis, she's a former Marine, lost a leg in a helicopter accident. We sort of replaced one of her old tattoos. It was a tattoo that she had on the leg that she lost. She has a huge following as well. And so she, of course, promoted it and sent it out to other people. So we're always looking for different ways that we can connect them to it and use our social media channels, our advertising to point people to the different content.
And it's a really great product. When you look at these YouTube videos that you've done, they're really well done. Like they're great quality, they're great product, they're all of these things. And you guys putting out that content always do it so well. And I think,
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It
was totally really all me. Yeah. It was not me at all. We have some very talented people that do that, and they always keep that human aspect to it. So even our national television commercials that we're involved in, it's always got that human aspect to it. It's not actors doing it. They are real members and real military members and real tattoo artists, thank goodness, but real tattoos. But we just have to have that authenticity behind it, which is truly like the key to everything for us.
Well, and I think authenticity is important, whether you're a brand or an influencer or whatever it is. What does authenticity mean to USAA specifically?
It's honesty and transparency. So if you are going to be someone who curses, great, do it.
You do you.
You do you.
You do you.
And that's truly what it is. So being authentic is having your story and being able to tell it and put it out there. So as an influencer, as a blogger, as a writer, as anything like that, it's telling your story your way and just make sure that it meshes with whatever company you're working with.
And I think that's great. Like there's so many things that USAA is doing to connect with influencers, to connect with this community, and to, you know, ultimately have the same goal, which is to educate people about finances ultimately. Right. And USAA has really great products. They have really great things. What is your overall goal when it comes to that content? Is it to educate? Is it, you know, what is that? Like, it's like a balance, right?
It is.
You have so many, I'm sorry. Again, a really big question, but there's always a balance that you have to maintain when it comes to, you know, a purpose for each thing you put out.
So at USAA, we have a very set mission, and it's longer than I'll go into, but it basically is, the mission is to facilitate the financial security of our members. And so if that means giving you all of the financial advice and then saying, but you don't really need this product, don't buy it from us. Like right now in your time, in your age, in your family situation, you don't need this, but you need these other 3 things. Like we do that, even though we know we could make some more money off of that. At the end of the day for us, if it doesn't facilitate the financial security of our members, we don't do it. We don't do projects. We don't do new innovations as if it doesn't meet that criteria. So from a content perspective, for us to facilitate the financial security, it's to educate. So if it's to educate you on how to do something, how to save money for it, if that means buying a product, great. If it means not buying a product, but doing something and using our services, great. That's what we will always do. So it always has to tie back to that, or we won't produce the content.
That's That's great. And for people out there who are interested in, because we're talking to bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, we're talking to the media side of the financial community. If they want to find out more or connect with you in some way, how are they able to do that?
I have an extremely generic email address that they can send it to.
There we go.
But I actually answer it. So it's not like a information at. No, it's influencers, plural with an S at the end, influencers at USAA.com. Send us an email. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure you'll have my name and something right there. Yeah. But that's how you'll find us and have the information, and we'll strike up a conversation. And don't get upset if you don't hear back from us right away. It's a small team. But
ping.
Yes, I tell people you have the right to pester, and that there is a fine line with that. So when you're looking at working with companies, whether it's USA or anyone else, pester within reason. Because after a while, you're like, all right, I get it. Go away. Yeah. But at the same time, we're all really busy. And if you're going to pester, don't just say, hey, touching base, any new news? Like, give me more information about you. Hey, since I last talked, here's what I've done. And give us examples, because that's what we need. We follow a lot of people on social media, and looking at what they're posting, it's impossible to see every little thing. So send us examples. It's a lot easier to look at it when it comes to us in an email than it does in diving through everything and trying to find it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kristi, for hanging out with us. Awesome. That was so good. I loved the information that Kristi was talking about, and it's always good to see it from a different perspective. And so I saw that Kristi she was watching with us. So Kristi, if you are still there, please give me a little, hey girl, hey. Give me a little comment in the comments. And while I'm waiting for you to do that, I loved some of the things that we were talking about with, oh, look, she gave me a smiley face. Kristi is here, everyone, to answer your questions. So if you have questions, please give us a comment, and she's here. She's ready to answer. So Kristi, I have a question for you. And again, I know that you'll be furiously typing away, and that might take just a second or two. And so Kristi, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you that I didn't at the time was, what is a smaller campaign that you have done before or worked with someone? So one of the things I love that you said was, don't be shy about what your following is. And so what are some instances of working with maybe not a celebrity influencer, or working with someone who might have a smaller audience? So if Kristi, you can answer that question for me. We also, if you have any other questions for Kristi, please write right away and let us know. Right away, which sounds like RIGHT, but I'm saying WRITE. I was good at spelling in grammar school. So that's one of my questions. Something else that I really loved that Kristi was saying, especially towards the end, there was ping with a purpose. And so if you're pinging someone instead of just being like, hey, what's up? Just say, hey, I'm so grateful that we've made this connection. Here's some of the work that I have been doing lately. So since the last time we've talked, I have now done ABC, or I now have this in production, or I have this project going on, or I have something like that going on. So ping with a purpose is a really great takeaway from this, to make sure that you are keeping up those relationships. And something else that I love, Kristi, that she said was that it's not always the right time. So it could be a good fit, but it might not be the right time for that fit. So Kristi says, in answer to my question, she says that we've done smaller we don't want that. Oh, there we go. We've done smaller product campaigns for bank or checking products where influencers had 3,000 followers and some had 90. So even the smaller one is still, that you're still someone that they work with, and they believe you did a credit card last year like that. And this is something else that she said in the interview, and she's repeating it, and I love it. It's an excellent point. It's not how many you have, it's the engagement and the demographics of your audience. So if a brand is looking for a certain demographic that your brand aligns with, and they're very engaged, then that means a lot more than if somebody has 90,000 of the wrong people that they're not trying to reach. Am I right, Kristi Francisco, am I right? Just tell me I'm right. So that's awesome. Another thing that she said that I really loved as we're talking about these concepts is that having an opinion is okay. It's how you express that opinion that really matters. And I think that's a life goal for everyone, as myself included. Kristi says I'm right. She said yes. So it's how you express those opinions that really matters, and people are watching online when it comes to either a brand or your followers or anything like that. And not saying that we're all cursing sailors all the time, but I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, so if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments. And I really appreciate Kristi being here and answering those for us. Something else that I really loved that we were talking about was the kind of content that USAA is putting out as a brand. And something that I didn't mention in the interview that I love is that USAA is constantly, what is the word, innovating technology so that it'll serve their brands as well. So that can be content like an app, or it can be a product that people can use. They're also working, Kristi, I hope I'm allowed to say this, but they're also working with technology that also we work with. So Echo Dot or things like that is something that I hope I'm allowed to say. I don't know. Anyway, so Kristi, tell me if that's okay. Otherwise, I'll go back and delete this. But anyway, well, I think if you guys have comments, go ahead and leave them. Again, I apologize for the time difference. Next week, we're going to have another Facebook Live, hopefully at the same time, if Facebook decides to cooperate and be nice to us and third-party softwares. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I think that we're good for today. If you have any questions, please feel free. Okay, good. Kristi says I was allowed to say that. So she says we work with a lot of innovation. So there's a lot of things that they are doing at USAA to make it a better place for their members and save them money in the long run, which is awesome. So again, we really appreciate you guys. Join us next week. We're going to be talking to another member of the FinCon community. We're going to be talking about what it looks like to connect with a brand at FinCon and how that literally could save you, or not save. I mean, it could. I don't know. We need to find somebody whose life has been saved from connecting with someone at FinCon, but it can change your life and it can change the way that you now go forth into the world. And so thank you so much again for joining us today. We appreciate you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. We will make sure that you get an answer. And all the things that Kristi was talking about, we have a blog post. We'll go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. And Kristi just dropped her email also, again, for you. If you're listening to this is it in written form. It's influencers@usaa.com. And I believe that you can email her there. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And we're going to see you next week. Bye.